The deal was I was supposed to drive a little erratically, and then a Volusia deputy pulled up behind me, traffic stopped me, and the plan was, okay, when I had a chance, I was going to brake for it, run the wooded area to go hide. And the deputy was going to try to act like he was going to catch me, and he didn't. He stayed with the truck, and he found the dope, and that was going to be the scenario. Well, I get through the traffic stop, and I look at it. I take off. I run across the road. It's a 4-lane highway, and can't find an opening in the woods. I'm going around the corner. Somehow, out of nowhere, this freaking Mustang pops out, right? Off the side of the road, going towards where I'm running to the woods. I'm looking at him like, these two people, this guy and this girl jump out of this car. This one guy must have been 6'5". The girl, she was pretty big too. They looked like bodybuilders, actually. Scared the hell out of me. Right? Next thing you know, they're tackling me. So the plane goes to shit.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of this week's episode, Game of Crimes, Murph in the Morning. Still got Mr. AJ Collazo here with us this week. We just finished up yesterday where he is a GS-13 journeyman level agent within the Special Operations Division, what we call the 959 groups, which is a bilateral investigative group. He was talking about some of his undercover activities and some of the things that he'd done overseas. And we're going to get back into that because while he was in that group, he actually got promoted to a group supervisor, which is a GS-14. So what did, AJ, when they promoted you, were you still in 959 or did you go to a different section?
No, I was still in, thank you. I was still in 959. Myself and my friend Lou Million, we both applied. There were some openings internally. We both actually got promoted.
Yeah, Lou is he's a legendary agent as well, just like you, man. He eventually made it up to assistant administrator, right? He came out of retirement to do that for a while. It's
like I told you, people in that squad could put a man on the moon. They were all talented people.
You're not kidding. I mean, the cases they were making, if I had been a young agent, that's where I would have wanted to work. You know, the wife probably wouldn't have liked it too much because I'd be gone more than I was already.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Back then, it was groundbreaking. It was after 9/11. The Patriot Act had a lot to do with that. Gave law enforcement, federal law enforcement, more latitude to go after these organizations who thought, well, you know, one of the elements you have to prove in a crime is that the crime was committed in the venue of the court where they're being indicted and prosecuted. And 959 kind of lengthened that out so that if you could prove it was detrimental to America or our citizens, that gave us jurisdiction.
Right. And we were able to we brought most of those to D.C. Different place that was a different place to have trials than what I was used to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So now you get promoted there.
What was cool about that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
About that is, those guys were bringing in big narco terrorists or big drug traffickers that were responsible for 30 metric tons or, and a jury in D.C. would look at that and go, those are the people that are responsible for poisoning our streets. Yeah, and if you were able to prove your case up, and like the congressman I was talking about before, that's your typical corrupt foreign politician that didn't care. He's making money and he's letting poison come into our country to kill our kids. So,
absolutely,
I think that helped a lot.
I mean, the cases that were going on back then, they were phenomenal. They'd never been heard of. Bringing in Afghani warlords who were responsible for tons and tons and tons of heroin production.
Right.
It was a good time to be an agent.
Yeah, it was a privilege to be there. Like I said before, being able to work some of those cases and do some of the things that we got to do and go to the places we went to. And we had the resources to do it. That's the other thing. You want to do a job, you need to have the tools and the money to do what you got to do. Hey, maybe back in your early days in Miami, sometimes there wasn't enough money to make that buy you needed to make, or you needed to buy this much, but you only had money to buy that much, or you couldn't do it, or you had to find a creative way to work around. It wasn't an open checkbook, but it wasn't hard to justify, and we had the resources and the support of DEA and Department of Justice to go after these people. That is what helped that thing take off.
That's phenomenal. Now, did you want to go back out in the field, or because your next stop is Tampa, right?
Yeah, I wanted. once you get into your GS-14 and you're into one of the sections that does what we do at Special Ops, as supervisor, you have a shelf life there. You can't stay there forever. You either promote up or you go back out to the field. And getting back to Florida was good. Was something we wanted to do. My wife and I, and our kids, and my other kids they were still living down there, so we got to get down to Tampa. Beautiful part of the world as well. And the project that I went to work at, it's it's a nice spot. And the project was very enticing. It was kind of like a 959 group with a little twist, if you will.
And so this is an OCDEF, which stands for Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force operation. And what was it called?
Operation Panama Express.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, going from 959 to Pan X, unbelievable. I mean, what was going on in Pan X was it was mind boggling, even for, active agents who were making seizures. We were knocking off 500, 600 kilos at a time down in Miami, but Pan X is knocking off shiploads. Oh yeah. The first one I first got down, and now I'm going down is, it's a multi-agency strike force, OCDEF strike force. You ran one in Atlanta. Right. And this was the one in Tampa. And, it was, you had the FBI, HSI, Coast Guard Investigative Services. You had the Joint Interagency Task Force and military folks from the U.S. who all working there collaboratively. Everybody works with each other. The idea is to put all your resources in one bag and go after your bad guys. And we were attacking, our main job was to attack the transit routes of the Eastern Pacific and the Caribbean that the drug traffickers were using. They were using, and it's usually maritime conveyances. We were fortunate. We also, I'd like to say, we were on the forefront of attacking some of these vessels that were the semi-submersibles. People call them submarines. They ride partially below sea level. They leave very little signature, hard to detect, hard to see. You could be 30 yards away from it, and you've got to have your eyes peeled, even with field glasses to identify it and see it. Sometimes there's a picture I wish I could show it to you there that was taken from a helo above. You had a Coast Guard cutter and a Navy frigate about a quarter mile apart, semi-submersible right in the middle. You almost couldn't see it. Yeah. Because of the waters were so dark and murky, and the color of the vessel. So those things are death traps. The waves, if the waves are rolling and Lord, if there's whitecaps out there and them submarine and the semi-submersible is stationary, it's almost impossible to see it. It is. They are. People, hard to see. I've discussed this before on here. People think that if they're in the ocean, our resources will be able to pinpoint them. And it's not that easy. It's really not that easy. No, it's not that easy. You got to have a little more information, a little help, so to speak. Yeah. Maybe somebody pointing you in a certain direction for you to go hunt. And the other thing is you got to have assets out there. We at DEA or any of the other agencies, all the alphabets, we have boats, but we don't have boats like that can go out that far with those legs. They go out 300-400 nautical miles offshore to go hunt one of these things and stay out there to hunt. So we're relying on the Coast Guard and the Navy to help us out. I love the fact that we had access to military assets. That was one of the things that shocked me the most, I think, when I first came to DEA, is that we could call the Air Force and they'd put a radar plane up. We could call the U.S. Navy and they would station a ship or whatever you needed. It was just amazing what was going on. Oh, we had Coast Guard, Navy, and Air Force representation there. I mean, and the Coast Guard was great. He'd go out there and hunt those things down. And I always said that if I were to do it again, maybe I could do a couple years of the Coast Guard, be one of those 20-year-old kids that jump on one of those, what they call the ribs, the boats. Once you spot the bad guy boat, you can't chase him with your cutter. You got to let it go with a little speedboat. And 6 guys jump on that, and they go after that, and they jump on the boat, and they chase them down. Those things, that's what I would have loved to have done early on. Oh, yeah. I actually applied to be a U.S. Customs boat handler before DEA and never got the call. But as an agent in Miami back in the late 80s, I did go out with Customs on New Year's Eve or I think it was New Year's Day. and we were looking for a freighter coming up from Colombia that supposedly had PVC pipe attached to the bottom of the freighter, and that's where the coke was located. So we go out on a customs go fast, and we hit 80 miles an hour on the ocean. And I thought, take me back to land. I've had enough of this.
Were you airborne?
Oh, my gosh. It was so rough out there. And they don't even have seats. They have those half moon padded things that you lean back in and bend your knees.
Belt, right?
Yeah.
Seatbelt it in. Yeah. Because if not, they'd leave you and they probably couldn't find you.
We had one of the bimini tops that you could pull up to get the sun off of you. The sea was so rough that it popped the bolts out of the side of the boat, and then we left the bimini top out in the ocean. Oh, man, it was rough. For a redneck hillbilly who grew up, I'm a landlubber. So, but just told me,
it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart. Going out and I've been out in those waters, especially in the Carib, and on multiple assignments, and those things are. Everybody's raising their hand. They want to go out there. It sounds like fun.
Once was enough.
We worked on op where we sent. I was running the op. I didn't go out in the ocean, but I sent some of our guys out there, and I remember those poor guys. They were out there for months. God bless them. Thank God for their service, even more so for what they did. They went out there and waited for deliveries of loads of dope to them and to bring them back and do all kinds of things. And it's hard work. It's not easy work, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not the excitement that you see on Miami Vice.
No, sir. If you can go out there and come back within an hour, it's all good. But sometimes you look at work of some of those things. You're out there for a month and a half to make it work. Yeah.
Yep. I remember we used to send agents out on some of the Coast Guard cutters if something specific, a good piece of intelligence was coming in, and you wanted an agent there so you could maintain custody and try and further the investigation. And I know some of the stuff in Pan-X is classified, and I'm not asking you to speak about any of that, but is there anything that you can tell us about the Pan-X investigations as to why you guys were able to make such massive seizures?
Well, I think it's being at the right place at the right time. And it goes back to what I did as a cop. You interview witnesses and defendants, and they give you information. You don't take them at their word. You verify that it's veracity. And sometimes you get lucky. And so, or if when the Coast Guard cutter knocks off a boat with 4 defendants on, they come back, they want to cooperate, they tell you information that you need to further a case. And eventually these organizations are big enough, you'll catch within a year and a half, you may catch 3 separate boats in 3 different locations, but they all belong to Steve Murphy, who sent them out.
Right.
And then you can, the idea should be is that you get with your counterparts, your DEA counterpart in the Foreign Office, say, we're going after Steve Murphy. Do you know him? Oh, yeah, I know Steve Murphy. We've been looking at him. We got these witnesses here. We see these loads that we think belong to them. When you go, oh, did you know these 4 guys or these 12 guys? Because we got 3 different loads. And you go, there are different things that connect them. There's the actual gumshoe police work. And that's the type of stuff that I enjoy. That was really good. But when I went to Pan-X, I was the boss. Those guys were doing most of the work, but that's what they did. So you kept the thing rolling. You kept the information going, right? The intel rolling and getting information and people cooperating. We had a lot of them in this circuit. When you'd get the mariners, they were looking at considerable time to go to jail. And shame is what they weren't reeking as much as the actual the load guards or the transportation organizers and the cartel heads or the group heads and cell heads. So it's a money business. Those are the ones we got. So you climb up the ladder, get cooperation and things like that.
Exactly. That's people hear me say that all the time. You climb the ladder. You get these mopes that are on the freighters or the Go Fast or whatever it might be. They don't know the Pablo Escobars and the Rodriguez Oruela brothers. But as you're climbing that ladder, you get to the next rung, and that's how you build a case. That's narcotics 101 right there.
Exactly. And that was the most enjoyable and what we had a passion for is going. And even back to my days in Orlando, again, I talked about one case. We started with a couple of grams of heroin, and you got that guy's dealer, and then that guy flips, and he tells you who he's getting his drugs from, and then you find out, oh, this is a serious guy. Everybody knows who this guy is, and you're going after him. And once you get evidence to grab him, then he says, okay, well, yeah, I get my supply from Steve Murphy, but I also get some from AJ Collazo, or I get some from Jimmy Jones over here. Sometimes I fly down to Miami, and I got someone down there to get. I mean, sometimes you have multiple sources, and before you know it, you've got somebody considerable on hook.
Absolutely.
Fishing, hunting, whatever analogy you want to use.
Yep. It's like throwing a stick of dynamite in the water and see what pops up to the top.
That's right.
Coming out of Tampa, you got promoted to the next level, right? Assistant Special Agent in Charge.
Yes, sir. And I went down to South America.
And where'd you go?
I went to Quito. I went to the Andean region. I was in the ASACs overseas are called Assistant Regional Directors, and I covered 3 offices down there, and it was the office in Caracas, Venezuela, the office in Quito, Ecuador, where I actually lived, and the office in Guayaquil, Ecuador. The garden spots of South America, if you will. It's kind of funny, and also a politically charged place because you had Chavez over in Venezuela, who was very close to the president in Ecuador and Bolivia, Evo, and they were all raising hell and throwing fire at the U.S. and things like that. But I'll tell you, they liked having the Americans in Ecuador helping them with their problem because as you look geographically, Ecuador is right. You know, your coca-producing countries, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. It's Colombia, Bolivia, and Peru. Ecuador is not a coca-producing country. It is right next to all those countries, but it's not. And it's right up to the Amazon. But transportation flows through Ecuador on many occasions. Yeah, from the North Coast, not so much. Colombia, Venezuela, out that way. But through Ecuador, southern part, and your exploits with Pablo went through Ecuador for a while.
Yep.
So it would be nothing for me to get a call in the middle of the night or roll into the office and have an agent call me from somewhere and say, boss, we just took off 3 tons that were getting ready to get loaded on the ship. Or we're searching in a container now that's supposed to have a ton of cocaine. One case which was pretty remarkable was that they were going after a boat. They had gotten intelligence that a big ship was going out, a containerized shipment was going out to the Netherlands, to Rotterdam. And they missed the boat. They didn't realize they didn't have enough information to identify the actual ship. And there's just one container that gets put on a ship that may have 300 containers on it or 400 containers on it, or 1,000 even. So the information was given to our office and to the authorities over in Rotterdam, and they hit the boat. And oh my God, it had 2 tons of cocaine. They go back around and they say, oh, wait a minute. This was going to a group of people who were investigating over here. They do some more digging. They get some phone numbers back from Ecuador and Colombia. They go back down there, and within the month, they grabbed 4 more tons in Ecuador that was getting ready to go out that way.
Wow.
And before you knew it, at the end of the, probably 6-week period between the Ecuadorians and Dutch out there and Colombians as well, and there were probably about 10 tons seized. And it was one of those things because the talking and the back and forth, right? The being able to reach out to somebody. And that's the other thing that, like I kind of said that when I was a little 10-year-old, the camaraderie, everybody wants to help each other out. If a cop in Ecuador needs a hand and it's a case like this, so they could reach out themselves. The DEA is always with them and helping and facilitating that or doing it themselves. But they can call the cop in the Netherlands and say, listen, this is what we got. Can you help? The cop's always going to help. And maybe that cop has other tentacles that go in further into Europe, and they can call someone in Poland or up in France or going over into the Mideast. Hey, can you help us? You get that help, and then you have a chain. Not only a supply chain of dope going out there, but you hope a supply chain of intel coming back to you to help you solidify your cases.
Right. And that's what we say, that's DEA's bread and butter is our international operations. Because I forget, I'd have to look up on a website now. I forget how many offices we have and how many countries. It's something like 78 countries with 98 offices. I don't know. I can't remember the numbers now, but it's phenomenal. And it's always interesting because, depending on which political administration is in office at the time, you get a new administrator. Oh, well, we're going to look at DEA's international operations because we think that's a waste of money. Getting rid of that would be the best thing that you could ever do for the criminals.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell you what, and we, sometimes we complain about things about DEA, but that's one of the things that DEA does right and does best. That foreign footprint, and it's not just for drug trafficking, right? You get information into a group that's trafficking kids and things like that. Sometimes you'll talk to a source of information. They'll call you and say, hey, I don't have anything to give you on drugs, but I know where there's a place where they're trafficking in people. Well, give us the information. We'll go ahead and exploit that and go after those people and give it to our counterparts. Or if it's a kidnapping issue, or they're trafficking in stolen cars, or you name it. Terrorism, that's another one. I mean, the informant doesn't get born with the stamp saying I'm a narco informant or I'm a narco source. If he's in the criminal element, the element is that. It's everything. And sometimes you get that. That's why those 960 groups also, they were effective. You got both.
I love it. And I just looked it up. It's 91 foreign offices in 68 different countries around the world. And love it. I hope they never get rid of the program because you never know. You would hurt the program. You would hurt what goes on. Again, it's a supply chain business that we're going after, right? The supply comes. Right. And I tell everybody, coca leaves aren't cultivated in the U.S. They come from somewhere. So yes, celebrate your 20 key seizure today. Don't forget, look at everything you have right now because you may need it to go after whoever sent that dope here. And they may be in Texas. Okay, coca leaves aren't cultivated there. Talk to your friends in San Antonio or El Paso. What do you know? And work with them together to go downrange and find out where it actually came from. And try to find the money trail going back. And that's another thing I liked about DEA is you're going for the biggest drug traffickers in the world. And just because I was stationed in Greensboro, North Carolina, you still could go after the drug traffickers of the world. Oh yeah. They have a stronghold there, right? They have a footprint there. I mean, they want to come to you. When you had oversight of Venezuela, was DEA kicked out of country there? No, I can honestly say that we were still there when I finished my tour in in the Andean Ridge and came back to the U.S. We were still there. We had two guys there, but every other law enforcement agency that was there before us was gone. Yeah, was by chance was one of those agents Wes Tabor? No, Wes had left. Wes had left just before I got there. I know Wes, but yeah, he had left just before I got there. Yeah, he's we had him as a guest on the show here, and it was very enlightening to listen to what was going on in Venezuela and how he was being treated. He had all kinds of stories. I talked to him after. It was good to talk to him because my issue there was it was hard to communicate with our folks there because you couldn't sometimes. Sometimes I'd meet him outside the country. We had, it was hard to go in there unless you already had a dip passport. You couldn't go in there. I'd been to Venezuela many times before, but when Chavez started tightening the noose and all the other agencies started leaving. And then I was gone maybe a year and a half. And then finally they closed it all together. They closed it all together. It's kind of like Bolivia. We had 3 offices there and once upon a time. Mm-hmm. Right, and now they're gone, which I hear that might change one day, I hope. I don't know. Well, I mean, it's hurting our country, but sure it is. They don't care as long as they're getting that foreign aid check. That's true. That's true. So now you do 3 years in Ecuador, and so I think it's the same as when I was overseas. If it's a 3-year post, you could re-up for 2 years at a time, or you could do a total of 6.5 years before you had to come back to the United States. But I'm guessing 3 years, you determined that was enough for you and your family. It was time to come home. Yeah, it was time to come home. My 2 young daughters with us there, and Barbara, as I told you, she was at the FBI. She needed to get rotated back in as well. So we got back, and we ended up in Miami. Not a bad place. Not a bad place if you're in this business. If you're in this business, not a bad place. I was the ASAC that was in charge of all the Haida groups in South Florida.
And where the Miami division office is further north outside of Miami. I was actually in Miami or Doral, right by the airport. And there with all the cops. An amazing experience there as well.
It's I know Miami is different now, but it's still a target-rich environment, right?
Oh yeah, sure it is, and it's truly an international city. And I mean, before you large, rich Cuban community, great traditions, love the food. I gained 10 pounds the month I got there. I told my wife that if we ever end up in Puerto Rico or Miami, I'm just going to balloon out, and I did. But we were there, and so she was there working at FBI, and I was working down at HIDA, and great group of people to work with. It was truly a large task force. The majority were the cops. You got Miami PD, Miami-Dade. It used to be Metro-Dade when we were younger. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And Broward County and all those agencies, they were phenomenal. You would get the support you needed for almost anything you needed to do. And we would support them as well. Really got back to that cop camaraderie that I had when I was at the sheriff's office. And,
yes.
Little Cuban court joint down the road, or La Carreta down at the International Mall. I'd go there every morning for some Cuban toast and a café. And
café con leche or?
Con leche. It was the safest place in Dade County between 7 a.m. and 11 in the morning.
All the cops are there.
All the cops. You'd see the chief there. You'd see the director of Miami-Dade back then. You'd see the HIDA director there. You'd see ASEX from other agencies. I mean, you did a lot of business there too. But I mean, coincidentally.
Well, and that might sound strange to people, but that's how you make contacts.
Yeah, friends.
Yeah, exactly. And the more people you know, the bigger your network is, the more productive you're going to be, the more successful you're going to be. Sure.
I'm just a little kid from Philly. All these other guys are smart. I just hang out with them and let them tell me how it's done. And
Oh, so you do that for looks like 2 years, and then you get an SES promotion, Senior Executive Service promotion.
Yes, I did. I went down to the Caribbean. I wore two hats. I was a regional director and a SAC at that position. It's the only law enforcement agency that had that. Because, and again, you can argue the Coast Guard's the other one because they're hybrid law enforcement military, right? So,
right.
But we had 6 domestic offices and 9 foreign offices. My brother at the FBI, the SAC there, he was just responsible for the FBI agents on the island and in the Virgin Islands. The same with my brother over at HSI SAC there. So sometimes their agencies would send people down into the Caribbean to like the Dominican Republic or Barbados or the Trinidad, and we'd roll up on them. Didn't know they were there or didn't know they were doing anything. No one reached out, and I'd go call my counterpart. Hey, so why is a couple of you guys there? And their complaint was, well, we have no oversight or visibility there. You tell us when somebody's there, and that's how we know. They say, would it ever dawn on you, like when you were in Miami, you went down TDY to Columbia, you wouldn't call anybody and say something to somebody?
Oh, no.
But, right. So, that's the way their organization was broken up. But if we had a problem in the Dominican Republic, I knew about it. In Jamaica, I knew about it. Down in Aruba, I knew about it because they answered to me through my guys, or one of my ASECs would have known about it.
Right.
So that was a cool thing about that tour. The operational tempo there was unbelievable. Second to none, in my opinion.
So as the special agent in charge of the Caribbean division, I believe that's what you called it back then?
Yes.
Do you remember, or just explain for our listeners, all the areas that you had responsibility for? Because it's massive.
Well, yeah, it's written as millions of square miles of land. It starts at the very tippy top of Bermuda. And it wasn't always that way. It had just gotten that way when I got there because the northern didn't belong to them. Down through the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Hispaniola, Haiti, and Dominican Republic. All the islands south to the northern coast of Venezuela. And we had 2 offices that were one in Suriname and one in
Aruba.
No, Aruba was in the Caribbean. We had that was Curacao. And another one in One in Suriname and one in Guyana. Those were the two that were actually in the continent of South America. Those belonged to the Caribbean.
Oh.
And so 9 foreign offices. Barbados, there's a chain of islands. There's a fusion center there. We work with our British partners and the host nations. There's several islands up and down that chain. And the only thing that we didn't have visibility on was Cuba, other than Guantanamo Bay. So it was nice being in Puerto Rico because we had the Coast Guard headquartered there, Sector San Juan. They had 7 fast attack cutters there with little ribs that they towed. They had air support. We had CBP there, fantastic partners to work with.
Yep.
We had a great relationship with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Puerto Rico and in the Virgin Islands, which was towards the middle there was like Camelot. Anything you needed, you pick up the phone and you were able to get it. And I got there right after Maria. It was kind of ironic. There were a lot of people, or at least I was told a lot of people. I knew of a lot of people that applied for the job, and I got lucky. It's plain and simple. Maybe it was my turn, but I got the job the day Maria hit the island. Nobody knew how bad it was. Yeah.
Oh.
So after that, you go, oh boy. So I go down there, and I went down there to check the place out when they were still trying to, like within the week. And the radar was knocked out at the international airport. They got a big, you've been down, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the airport was the radar was knocked out. So it was all VFR, visual, to get in. It was like the green zone, USG aircraft all over the place. I would say, I don't know, dozens and dozens and dozens of aircraft down there. And then you had, nonprofits flying in, bringing in supplies and things like that. So a lot of people out there helping. There were the power companies. I was one time in the mountains. One time I saw a damn power truck from Kentucky. I saw another.
Is that right?
I saw in the city in San Juan, Con Edison, which is the power utility company in New York City. They were there.
Wow.
One big major intersection just outside of San Juan near the Federal Detention Center, there was no power. New Jersey State Police had sent down a troop around the clock traffic control at that section. They got help from all over the world who was there. All over the country.
Well, and that brings up a good point. So your personnel that are assigned there on those islands when the hurricanes hit, they just have to hunker down and ride it out, right?
Ride it out or leave. You have enough time if you get enough time. Like we evacuated, I evacuated the Bahamas once. Dorian, the northern part of the Bahamas. We had 2 offices in the Bahamas, but everybody left. The northern part of the Bahamas, Dorian, it went across the top edge of the Bahamas at 1 mile an hour, all the way across, and destruction. We got our partners at the Royal Bahamian Police. They moved our cars and took them to higher ground near the airport, and they were still like 4 or 5 feet underwater.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was pretty destructive. So
that's a slow moving hurricane like that is just extremely, extremely destructive.
Yeah,
wow.
Maria was a 5, but it went through really quickly. And then Irma 2 weeks before that. It was like you got hit by one side and you got sucker punched from the other side when those 2 storms, because that was the problem, right? The old aging infrastructure, and you had 2 storms back to back, a week and a half apart from each other.
Wow.
All those things. But we did get help. Headquarters assisted us. Everyone else helped. We were able to get temporary lodging for all the employees that were still there. And we sent people back home whenever we had support to send them back home through aircraft. All that was started by Matt Downey, who was a SAC before I was there. And then I came in there, tried to keep it going right after that because I didn't report. I went back during December for a couple of weeks, maybe 3. And then I came back and reported in January of 2018. And we got everybody into their homes where power was slowly coming back to replace to the whole island March, April, something like that.
Wow.
We were helping cover what they needed for those periods. But I was just there recently. It was recovered when I left. COVID slowed a lot of that down a little bit, but it was it's a neat place to work.
Yeah, and that's another target-rich environment.
Well, yeah, the stuff that we were doing at Pan X, we were doing down there. One of the differences is that those ships were coming to Puerto Rico. They were coming to the Virgin Islands. So they were coming. They're actually they were unloading on clandestine beaches around places we couldn't. So once you got the information, Coast Guard was chasing them up. Between them, CBP, and the state police in Puerto Rico, you were able to seize plenty of cocaine coming in.
Jeez.
And same with the Virgin Islands, but the Dominican Republic was the bigger one. They were getting a lot of it, and we have two enforcement groups there. We have a big office in the Dominican Republic, and the partners are phenomenal. They're SIU, their Sensitive Investigations Unit. It's very supportive. They had like 70 guys always working on these organizations, seizing loads of dope there. They would stockpile them there, but they're destined to the U.S.
Yeah. I think Dominican Republic's still a target-rich environment, too, isn't it?
It is. Oh, no, it is. But very helpful. Those folks are very helpful. I mean, great partners to have.
Yeah.
Saw the one admiral at the IACP when we were up in Denver. I saw him up there. He was there. Saw me and came over and said hello. So.
Isn't it funny? You and I live in the same town here. Well, no, you're over in the Tampa area, aren't you?
Yeah, closer to Tampa.
You're here in Orlando. Yeah, you're here frequently, and you and I have to go to Denver to see each other.
I know. That's how busy you are. When you're the legend that you are, then you do all the things that you do. I mean, you get pulled in many directions. I know. I understand.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's because my wife has me here working on honeydews.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so you decide to retire in 2021 from DEA. Why'd you want to retire? What was that?
Well, heck, I was beyond mandatory. They extended me twice. And I was in the middle of an extension, and this opportunity came up in Central Florida to work at the hideouts, and applied for the job. Was fortunate, blessed, actually, to land at that job. And it keeps me going. Keeps me going into the same work, helping people that are doing the same work, supporting people that are doing the same work, and trying to stem the flow, crushing crime and suppressing evil, if you will.
There you go. I love it. And you got to work for the legend Steve Collins also, right?
Yes, I did. Worked for a little bit, and then when he left, I took over.
Would you explain for everybody what is HIDA?
HIDA is an acronym for High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. Those are areas that are designated by the White House's Office of National Drug Control Policy. They're part of the White House, and they're funded by Congress. We're on a congressional bill or law that funds us. And what we do is we provide resources to designated areas. And those resources are given to law enforcement agencies working counter narcotics efforts in those areas. They also help with demand reduction programs and things like that in the public sector with public health agencies as well. There are 33 of them throughout the United States. The one here in Central Florida was born in late 90s, 1998, 1999. That was because of that heroin epidemic that I was telling you about, all the people dying. That was the main thrust. We had congressional hearings here in the region. Remember, as a junior agent walked into high school, Congress was in there taking testimony. Listen to parents that were torn apart after losing their kids, and family members because their brother or sister got hooked, or they went out and they made a mistake, kind of like people are doing with fentanyl today. But not to diminish that over there, that was bad. This is worse, I think, because of the numbers. It's one of the things. And so Central Florida was dead. There's 10 counties from coast to coast, sea to shining sea, as I like to say. Daytona, Malvern, Cocoa Beach, west all the way to Pasco County, Pinellas County, St. Pete, Tampa, and Manatee County, Bradenton, and everything in between, up and down the I-4 corridor. 10 counties, every sheriff's a member of the HIDA. We support their narcotics eight units in their work, and we support them with equipment. We have an investigative support center with intel analysts that help support their investigations. We provide training free to them. We don't charge; nobody gets charged for the training, and we do train on a wide array of things, not just narcotics work. Like right now, how do you deal with cryptocurrency? That's a big thing, right? I remember I came back from South America. I had a 27-year-old agent telling me he wanted to use Bitcoin to buy some dope on the dark web. I go, what are you talking about? I didn't even know what that was. And I had a young kid, 27, tell me how to do it, and I let him do it, and it worked.
Yeah.
He made it work. Yeah. So I'm there learning something new. So training is a big thing, and it's not just for it's for people that work that are in our region. So if the sheriff in one particular county has some detectives that need some crypto training, and we're having crypto course, come on over. The more the merrier. It builds relationships. People get to know each other. It's good that when, you could be in Seminole County. It's not good if you don't know who the deputies in Orange and Volusia are, because criminals don't respect those boundaries we do.
Right.
So you teach them, and they get to know each other. They exchange phone numbers or snaps or whatever they do nowadays on the phone, and they're able to form a network of their own.
Is Polk County a part of the Central Florida Highway?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a good partner. Great partner. Yes.
And for those of you, if you've never heard of Sheriff Grady Judd, just Google him.
He is phenomenal. Oh yeah, he's great. No, well, maybe we'll have to work that out.
Oh, it'd be great. I'd love to have him. I've been saying that for a couple of years now. I want to get him on here, and I honestly hadn't even thought about it until you and I started talking today. Get that introduction.
Oh, yeah. I've been to a couple of his press conferences, and he commands that room, and his people are very good at what they do. They're very good partners. We have
nobody even runs against him for sheriff, do they?
No, I think and if you talk about if you're lefty or right, it doesn't matter. Everybody loves him on either side. He'll be there till he wants to leave and give up. He does his people do great work, and he supports them, and he tells people like it is. He doesn't sugarcoat anything if it doesn't need to be sugarcoated.
Yeah, he's not bashful.
No, he's not. And we appreciate the partnership with him and his folks, and he's very supportive of the HIDA program. Comes in and he wants to play in the sandbox with us. Sure enough. And, they're in an area that I don't want to call it Taintsville, but it Taint Tampa and Taint Orlando, right? It's right in between. So things overlap into that county, right? Osceola County just above it, and everything else. You got the attractions aren't that far out of Polk County, so they have I-4 that goes right through the middle of their county there, and they have a lot of activity. They're very active.
Now, I was in the HIDA as a group supervisor in Atlanta back in late 90s, and we had enforcement groups, but that's changed now with the HIDAs. Is that, or is it just some have them and some don't?
Some have them, some don't. Like enforcement groups for DEA. DEA has 4, 2 in Orlando, 2 in Tampa for our HIDA. The marshals have a couple of groups as well. HSI is a partner in the HIDA, so is the Bureau. I mean, we have the unique thing about HIDA is that there is an executive board within your particular HIDA. There's 3 in Florida: North Florida, Central, which is mine, and South Florida. So there's a board. It's an equal standing board, equal amount of federal agencies as there are state and local agencies, and they set the priorities, right? It's what their threat is, because the threat in Orlando or Tampa may not be the same as it is in Kansas City or it is in San Francisco. So they decide. They have a say into how we spend these resources. They get parceled down to us to divide out to the different initiatives. But unfortunately today the big threat is fentanyl, and that's I would say I haven't read everyone's threat assessment, but it is and I don't want to call it flavor of the day. It is the major threat against our country. It's a major threat against our region and against our communities. It's right. Fentanyl trafficking, kids trying fentanyl, and people thinking that they're taking one thing and it's really not, and they roll over and die, unfortunately. And it's the hardest thing. One of the hardest things that I've had to do, and I know you've done it too, having talked to a parent that woke up and their kid did not. And I tell you what, I'm so impressed by a lot of the parents who take that and make a good out of it and try to educate the world as to what happened to them and to not let their kid. Right.
Well, you and I both know Derek Maltz very well, and he's a voice for Faces of Fentanyl,
right?
Which represents thousands of families, unfortunately. Are you seeing, because you read my mind, my next question for you was, what is the drug situation here in Central Florida, just because I live here now, but are you seeing counterfeit medications here?
We're seeing some. What we're seeing is, like I said, if you people thinking that they're taking oxycodone or something, it's really fentanyl. You're seeing some of that. Yeah, you're seeing that.
Yeah.
And the Prill presses, the M80s, and things like that. But again, as far as the threat is, the main threat is fentanyl. Right behind is methamphetamine and cocaine. Heroin's dropped a little bit on that thing, on that scale, and those are our major ones. And we're seeing substantial amounts.
Is the heroin Mexican heroin?
No, it's Colombian.
Really?
Colombian. I'll tell you, I only saw here in my 2 or 3 tours, and it was kind of a funny thing. I joke about it. Every time I leave Florida, I sneak back in. I hit the 3 big cities, but
yeah,
I saw Mexican heroin when I was an agent in Orlando one time. DEA intercepted a load. DEA intercepted a load out in Texas, and they needed to deliver it to some bad guys here in north of Orlando in Volusia County, and we had to deliver it. And so, I'm the delivery boy. I'm driving a U-Haul truck, and we took out the dope out of the truck, but it was supposed to be in the back of the truck. And I met these Mexicans, and they said, "Follow me," which we knew that was the plan. I was supposed to follow them to some farm so they can get their drugs, and they give me the money. And well, there's no way I was going to go someplace that nobody knew about.
Right.
I've done that before, and that didn't end well. So the plan with that this is a funny story. Plan with that was okay. As I drive this truck, this U-Haul truck, following the 2 Mexican guys. I call them the Mexican nationals because they knew I wasn't Mexican from meeting me. But the deal was I was supposed to drive a little erratically. And then a Volusia deputy pulled up behind me, traffic stopped me. And the plan was, when I had a chance, I was going to break for it, run to a wooded area to go hide. And the deputy was going to try to act like he was going to catch me, and he didn't. He stayed with the truck, and he found the dope, and that was going to be the scenario. Well, I get through the traffic stop, and I look at it. I take my break. I take off. I run across the road. It's a 4-lane highway, and can't find an opening in the woods. I'm going around the corner. Somehow, out of nowhere, this freaking Mustang pops out, right? off the side of the road, going towards where I'm running to the woods. I'm looking at him like, these 2 people, this guy and this girl jump out of this car. This one guy must have been 6'5". The girl, she was pretty big too. They looked like bodybuilders, actually. Scared the hell out of me. Right? And next thing you know, they're tackling me. So the plane goes to shit.
Where's that deputy when you need one?
Yeah, but the deal was I was supposed to get away, and then they were just going to seize the truck with the dope in it. So the Mexicans are seeing that, and they're saying, "Screw this, I'm leaving." He took off, right? My so-called backup, they're over there laughing.
Like I'm doing. That's hilarious.
Exactly. And what happened was those 2 were security at the local community college. They saw the traffic stop, saw the deputy, thought he was having a problem. I take off running. They said, "Oh, we're going to help." They go over, they tackle me. I went, "Holy cow, where did this come from?"
Did you ever tell them the truth?
Huh?
Did you ever tell them the truth?
They told them the truth. The deputy came and took me away. I think they told them the truth, but I got out of there. And I got laughed at for months after that at the office. I couldn't get away.
Yeah, but everybody's just glad it wasn't them.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't them. No, they weren't. These guys, no, they looked like they could have been on a podium representing the U.S. at the Olympics or something. One looked like it was the decathlete, and the girl like a swimmer.
See, we've got more than our share of dumb criminals here, but we got some concerned citizens as well.
That's true. They were doing God's work.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah. But that was the only time I ever saw Mexican heroin here.
What about where is the meth coming out of Mexico, or is it homemade?
Yes.
Mexico.
Yeah, a problem back years ago, and back when the Haida was birthed, they had labs here in Central Florida, primarily Polk County, out in that region towards Tampa. But that's kind of dried up because the Mexicans have cornered the market. They have the super labs; they can do it over there, less dealing with other people making it, and they do it from there. And And it's kind of like the Colombians they're using the cocaine routes for heroin. They're using the methamphetamine, what they learned in the methamphetamine trade to deal with fentanyl.
Yeah. It's crazy. It seemed like meth was dying out there for a while because fentanyl got all the attention, but then all of a sudden meth starts coming back just, a couple years ago, 3 years ago or so.
Right.
It's amazing.
I came back to Central Florida. That was, there was, like I said, it's like number 2 in the threat assessment, but I came out of the Caribbean region. It's cocaine number 1. Fentanyl was coming, and heroin. And the part of the country you are in, the HIDA's, the executive board, they set they look at the threat assessment. They have a say in what goes in the threat assessment. They help author it, and we publish it, and it shows what we're finding from what we have in our area. Great program.
Oh, me. Shoot. I had a question there for you, and it just flew right out of my brain. This happens more and more often nowadays. Yeah. What's in your future? You going to stick around and hide her, or what's up for AJ?
That's it until we get till we figure out what to do next. I have one daughter left before she has to go to college, the last one out of the 5, and me and the wife are going to go find our own adventures. I knew you had kids. I didn't know you had 5 kids. Yes, sir. 4 girls too.
Well, girl dad. All right.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
I got no problem with that. Yeah, I got 2. Well, I got 2 boys and 2 girls, but
yeah, well, you got to match that.
Yeah, but I understand why you don't have any hair.
Yeah,
I got the same problem.
That's the same. That's why.
It's called girls.
It's girls. Yeah. Yeah. 1 boy. Yeah.
And all the kids. The girls were here. Our youngest daughter's married, has a daughter. They were here for Thanksgiving, and our oldest daughter, who's engaged now, came down from D.C. And Thanksgiving morning, and both of my daughters are Colombian. We adopted them down there when they were babies. And Monica is like, "Hey, Dad, it's 6:30. Want to go to the gym?" How can you say no? Right?
That's right.
So we went to the gym, and let me tell you what, that girl, she wore her old man out.
Did she? I'm sure. Well, my girls will do the same. I mean, they're both active. One was a volleyball player. The younger one, the older one was a volleyball player. The oldest, my son, had played volleyball as well, and soccer. And the girls all played soccer. But the 2 youngest ones, like the one that's up in college now, she was a volleyball player all 4 years in high school, and then the youngest one. She was a gymnast. She won state championship for pole vault here in Florida, and
holy
she was
cow,
doing that very well. But then all of a sudden, the interest went away, and now she's pursuing other things. She's getting ready to go to college.
Excellent. Before we go, what words of advice would you have for anyone who's maybe considering a career in law enforcement or military or a high risk occupation, or are there just any words of advice you want to leave with everybody?
Wow. How much time do you
got? Go, brother.
What I think I knew very young what I wanted to do. So I think I was lucky in that way. I know a lot of guys that fell in this profession, and they were great agents and outstanding investigators and very brave people. And, it just worked out for them. I knew this is what I wanted to do. So you have to have a passion for it. You got to want to do this. It's not a 9-to-5 job. Some places and you got to be willing to do that. And if you have a family before you go in, talk it over. Know that it is demanding, but it is so rewarding. One of the most rewarding things. I mean, again, I saw when I was a little guy, the fraternal part of it, the camaraderie and the friendships and the relationships that you build. And you're always going to have a friend somewhere, if you need a hand. I mean,
hey, AJ, before you go here, and folks, if you saw a little glitch there, we just had a little technical issue here, but we're about to finish up. I wanted to ask AJ, though, before you go, I know you were involved in some magnificent cases, some monumental cases. And I know that you have received awards. I could not find any of them, but I just got to embarrass you here and ask you about this because I think you and your group probably got an administrator's award or 2.
Uh, yeah, we did. Yeah, and again, that particularly that 959 group, the BIU, that group was a phenomenal group of agents, and we've got a couple of group awards for things that we did in that group. And again, I had told you about the congressman. Then there was the other guy that he was an avocado farmer, but he was a millionaire, and he was also a money launderer and a meth distributor. So we were able to get him. And the other guys did cases on some people that are still pending in court today. And so, the group achievement awards I know we got it twice. AFNA, when I was in Orlando, we did the one case, where we did, it started with 1 gram and we ended up with 30 keys at the very end of the case, 30 plus of heroin. And
wow,
that was, AFNA gave us the award for that one.
And what's AFNA?
AFNA, the Association of Federal Narcotics Agents. It's the retired Agents Association. Now it's the Agents Association outside of work. But a group of folks, and they told me they vetted that case that they worked on, and it was good enough, and it cut the mustard for them to give me the Agent of the Year award that year. And a couple other things, but nothing really.
Yeah, being humble.
I think it's maybe I don't remember. Maybe more of that.
Well, it's like I say on here, I bring on a lot of heroes and studs and studettes on here, and a hero will never admit that they're a hero. And that's part of what makes them a hero. They're just doing their job. But what I really like about that is you're talking about the team. Mm-hmm. It's not an I, it's the team did this.
Right. You can't do it all alone. There's no way. And that one case, in the one in Orlando, where you had to keep calling people back out because it's one of those things that doesn't end. You've been on those where you start something, think it's just a simple buy bust. 2 days later, you're still out on the street working on it because you're finding more and more and more. And it takes everybody wanting to do that. And if it's one of these where it doesn't go anywhere or it's a nothing case, that stinks. It sucks. But you're finding things. You're targeting people. You're grabbing people. You're seizing assets. You're seizing large amounts of dope, and you're identifying people that no one else knew was doing what they were doing. So those things are fun. We one time we had a case where Customs here in Orlando, they grabbed a couple of ladies that came off of an Air Jamaica flight. They were the only non-Jamaicans on the flight. There were 2 Colombian ladies, and they brought 2 brand new bright green suitcases, carry-ons, and they were rolling off the airplane, and there were 5 keys of heroin in those suitcases. So from the time
we got a bright neon sign blinking, "Stop me, stop me."
It was incredible. It was one of those things. Those are the things that I loved, because what we did was got them. Customs called us. We worked together. It was before HSI was born. It was Customs. Flipped them. They were delivering they were giving this dope down in. They were approached in Colombia. They said they would do it. They had to go to Venezuela to pick up the dope. They had to find their own way up to New York. People didn't want to know. And they knew who their family was. Somehow they got on a cruise ship somewhere, ended up in Jamaica. From there, they went through, got to the airport, which was far away from where the cruise ship terminals were. And they got on a plane and ended up in Orlando with 5 keys of heroin. No one touched them.
Wow.
Then we go up there. We got on a DEA aircraft. We went up to New York, worked with some great DEA and Customs agents up there, and went to make the delivery and grabbed the guy that came to pick it up, flipped him, took us to to what they call a mill operation. It was at the edge of Queens and Yonkers, right? It was a tough part of the world, and it was a full apartment, no furniture but tables and chairs, where you take your package of cocaine, you break it down, you cut it with whatever you're cutting it with. It's like going to Chipotle to get your burrito. Like lettuce, tomato, that type of thing. It's an assembly line, and you saw all the baggies and the markings on the baggies, so you know whose heroin it was and who was selling it. That's the one you want. You don't want the other one. That type of thing.
Wow.
That took two and a half days.
Yeah.
And at that time, towards the end, you're running on adrenaline. When you think you're tired and ready just to say, we're done, something else pops up that piques your interest again.
Yeah. So, that's just part of the job.
Team. Everybody did a little bit here, a little bit there. You peeled off some people to go debrief and book some defendants. And then next morning, you're breaking off another set of people for some more defendants. It was a lot of fun. That was one particular case that was fun.
Yeah. One thing that right before we had a little technical issue there, you mentioned when we're talking about advice that you might have was to make sure your family is aware. And I just don't want to gloss over that because I refer to our families as our unsung heroes. They're the people that have to put up with us being gone all the time. They keep the household running, taking the kids to sports and school and PTA meetings and whatever it might be. Those of us who are making the cases, you couldn't do it without your family.
No.
Or you're going to get divorced. So be sure, because this is not a job. It actually develops into a lifestyle, and it affects everybody in your family.
Right.
Just want to expand on that and recognize our unsung heroes. Couldn't do it without them.
You're not at home a lot. You're not at home on the weekends sometimes. You miss parties. You are not home for dinner every night at 5 o'clock. And I know some people who didn't understand that, or you have parts of extended family. What? You're not going to be home for dinner at 6 tonight?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. Might not be home till next week.
Yeah. But it's got to be truly a group effort. And unfortunately, as I told you, my wife's in law enforcement, understands the drill.
Yeah.
And, very supportive. Half of the things that were accomplished couldn't be done without her as well.
Yep. So I was talking to AJ before we started recording. I did some searching for you on social media. The only place I could find you was on LinkedIn at AJ Collazo, which is Collazo, everybody. But the Central Florida HIDTA, you can find that on Instagram, Facebook. I even found you on X and LinkedIn, all at Central Florida HIDTA. And for their website, it's cfhida.org. So if you're interested in learning more about the HIDTAs, what they do, I encourage you that's your taxpayer dollars. So I encourage you to learn more about what's going on, especially those of you in Central Florida here. But brother, the time has gone by so quickly, and
we just started.
It does. It does. That's what I like about the show is it's like this with everybody. I mean, I get to meet studs and studettes from all around the world here. We got to get together for lunch here soon, catch up a little bit.
We do. Well, bring the boys with me. We'll get together and have a round table.
Excellent. Thank you so much for giving us your time this morning. This has been fantastic.
This was a privilege. Like I said, anytime I could sit with a legend to talk about the cop shop, I'm in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. And you folks see what I talk about the studs and studettes. I mean, the sacrifices and the dedication, the perseverance that these people have that I bring on the show. That's why I bring them on here. So I hope it's motivating for you. I hope you enjoyed what you heard today, some of the exciting stories, the things that really go on out there in the field. So just thank you every time. Thank you again for coming every week to join me here on Game of Crimes. It's a privilege to bring these folks in here for me, and it's a privilege to present them to you. I don't understand why you come back every week, but in reality, I do. It's because you enjoy playing the biggest, the baddest, the most dangerous game of all, and that's our Game of Crimes. God bless everybody. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week.